Hi, my name is Pam Malone, and I'm giving the webinar on why your school should have an EdTech coach. To engage with my presentation, please go to linktr.ee/technicallyitsedu. There you will find the link to follow along on Nearpod, take any notes, and interact with my presentation. So a little bit about me. I currently work as an EdTech coach at Brebeuf Jesuit Preparatory School located in Indianapolis, Indiana. I actually was a student here at Brebeuf and I graduated in 2011. So it has been a great opportunity to be back here with teachers who taught me and meeting many new teachers as well. So my previous experience has been in the classroom as I was a general education teacher. I taught 2 years of 7th grade language arts and then 1 year of 5th grade language arts. Then I also, the last 2 years that I was there, I was a kindergarten through 8th grade technology teacher. So throughout all of my experience as a teacher, I really enjoyed technology and especially integrating technology into my classroom. So a brief overview of what I will be covering today is why you should have an EdTech coach, how to implement it, and where do we go from here. So the primary purpose of my job as an EdTech coach is to give teachers who I work with support that they need. My main job is to look for technology that would best integrate with their classroom. But it's important, especially since this past couple of years, there's been so much technology and all the teachers have had to really learn so much in such a short period of time. So this past year, I've really been trying to focus on not overwhelming all my teachers with the newest technology. Instead, as an EdTech coach this year in particular, I really tried to focus on what new technology will be useful and effective for them at that moment. So this year, my focus is on what can I show them that will help them make their classes easier and more efficient and focus for their current students. Also, teachers weren't always hired because they were masters in technology. Teachers were hired because they were masters in their content and they knew how to teach. So that's why it's important that every school has an EdTech coach, because that will help ease the comfortability with technology. So even if the teacher is not an expert in technology, they can rely on an EdTech coach to give them that comfort and that confidence, and thus their technology skills will in fact increase just by working with an EdTech coach one-on-one. Students also benefit from having an EdTech coach in their school, because if an EdTech coach is working with the teachers to help make their lessons more exciting, more engaging, more collaborative, that benefit is directly going to impact the students in the classroom. The students will become more engaged and the students will feel more part of their classroom as they will have a more direct involvement on class projects. Also, as an EdTech coach, it provides many real-world connections that you can bring for the students in the classroom. So an EdTech coach like me, I will work with a teacher, for example, who might want to study a culture in a different area in a language classroom. So I can show that teacher how to use Google Maps and integrate Google Maps project for their students. And the teacher can either create their own presentation of Google Maps and Google Earth to show an area in which they're about to study, or we could even work together and have the students create their own projects in Google Earth to showcase various locations in various parts of the world. So this draws a real life connection to their learning environment. Also, technology can foster creativity on all different types of assignments and presentations. So oftentimes I will send out a survey to my teachers and I will ask them, think of parts of your curriculum that you have a project on that let's not reinvent the wheel, but let's try to add to new technology to kind of give it an enhanced perspective. So that way it'll be more exciting for you as a teacher and for your students to learn as well. So how do you go about implementing yourself as an EdTech coach? Well, having been an English teacher, I immediately thought of the rhetorical appeals of ethos, pathos, and logos. So when I think of ethos, I think of credibility. You have to have credibility and respect as an EdTech coach if you want to make a difference in the classroom with your teachers. Secondly, it's important that you have pathos in mind, and this is the emotion. So you want to be someone who is personable, who is approachable, and not intimidating. So that way your teachers feel comfortable working with you. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you involve logos. And logos is the logic behind everything that you do. You want to make sure that you're on top of it, you're informed, and you stay up to date with all the new technology. So ethos is, I always think of the trust. A teacher won't want to approach you if they feel like they can't trust you to help them with a certain situation. So you have to be approachable and you have to follow through on agreements. So if you make a meeting with someone, you want to make sure that you follow through. I oftentimes, when I meet with a teacher, I will send them a reminder email that I am meeting with them and that if that time still is working for them. And then once we are working together and discussing things, afterwards, I will send them a follow up of everything that I showed them in a Google Doc. And then I will link various tutorial videos, either ones I've created, or I will link certain articles for them to refer back to again. Ethos, I think, also is with experience. And I have a master's in technology and education, but I also believe that if you just also have a passion for technology and you work with technology on a daily basis, having been a teacher integrating technology into your own lessons, that also will give you some credibility so that you can relate with your teachers having had experience in the classroom. Part of ethos is also being vulnerable. I really believe that you should show that you are human and to show that even though you are an expert in your field, that you also are making mistakes too, and show them that it's okay to make mistakes. There have been often times when I go to try to do something thinking that it will be a quick fix and realizing that my initial trick didn't work. And so they actually see me making a mistake. And to some, you may think, well, that's not a good idea. But honestly, I think if you show how resilient and how you can bounce back yourself as an ed tech coach when you make a mistake, it gives them permission as well to make a mistake and know that that is normal. And also, I believe it shows them that you can easily troubleshoot your own mistakes too. There are many times when if I don't know how to do something, I will Google right in front of them how to do something to kind of show that I don't have all the answers and no one truly knows all of the answers. When I think of pathos, I think about relationships. So in this job, it's all about relationships. So starting off the year, I didn't know everybody that well. And so it was on me to make my time in my day to go around to the classrooms, to go around to the departments, and just to let everybody get to know me. And I was wanting to get to know them on like a personal level. And then also like, how are they as a teacher? What is their role in their classroom? How do they teach? Because even though you are a teacher, it does not mean that you have the same teaching style. So it was important for me early on to send out an email to ask if I was able to observe their classrooms and to pick a time to just do an informal observation. I made it known that I am not an administrator where I'm going to give them a formal write up or anything like that at all. I wanted to make sure that I was just mainly saying that I want to see how you teach, and it doesn't have to be a very technology heavy lesson. I just want to see a typical lesson of how you use technology. And then afterwards, what I would do, I would take notes while they were teaching. And if any time an idea popped up where I thought, well, what if they use this technology tool to deliver this lesson in this way. And then afterwards, I would sit down with the teacher, share them my notes, give them my ideas and my suggestions. And they didn't always take the suggestions, but that's totally okay because, again, they are the masters of their classroom. It's not on me to tell them how to run their classroom. I'm just there to provide support and advice and possible considerations that they might include in the future. Another way that I work with my teachers is through co-teaching. So if after I observe the classroom and I give them advice, sometimes what might happen is they might think, oh man, I want to do that, but I don't know how. Can you work with me? So oftentimes I will set some time in my schedule to come into their classroom and to introduce a new project. So, for example, one of the teachers wanted to do a meme project, and she wanted her students to create a meme based on a passage that they were reading. And she wanted this creation, this end result, but didn't know how to deliver the instruction for her students to accomplish the task. So I came in as the EdTech coach, showed the students how to access the Google Drawings, how to find the resources, and I prompted all of that for them. And then I stuck around later in the class and I answered questions for them if they had any. Another time I was observing a class and the students were giving presentations in Spanish and they were doing a wonderful job presenting in Spanish. But I noticed that their Google Slides would also be enhanced a bit. So I asked if I could co-teach with the teacher to show the students how to use Google Slides more efficiently. And then even so, I also introduced them to a new company called Genially, and I was really able to show them how to use more interactivity on their presentations. The neatest part was I've been able to sit in on all the classes, and I can now see the students taking ownership of their presentations and do a fabulous job presenting and using all of the interactive features in their presentation. And I can see them present with confidence as I deliver all of the instruction. Thursday mornings are always a popular day at Brebeuf because on Thursday mornings, the IT department will oftentimes bring in either bagels or donuts. As you can see on the slide, donuts are usually the top favorite amongst the faculty and staff. So why do we do this? Why don't we just send a weekly email and call it a day? Well, everybody loves bagels, everybody loves donuts, and it's also a great way for all the staff to come into my office and have a conversation. So by allowing the teachers to come in and get donuts, having seen me, they might realize, oh gosh, I have a question for you, and then we can start a conversation right there. Again, it helps to build the relationships with your faculty and staff. As you can see on the slide to the right, the top box shows an example email that I send out for our weekly newsletter every week. I always think it's important to add a little pizzazz in the email. So in this example, I've included a GIF to show that it's Donut Day. And then I organized my email into different sections with an EdTech graphic that I have created using the Giphy Google extension, where I was able to customize whatever text I wanted. I also, at the beginning, like to show an overview of what will be included in the email. That way, a teacher can quickly glance at the tech email and then later scroll down to see all of the details. Like I've mentioned before, I also, as an EdTech coach, give mini trainings. So in my weekly email, if I am planning to do a training that month, I will mention that in the email as well. Oftentimes, because the teachers have very busy schedules, I will make many opportunities to meet with me, whether that be before school, during school, or after school. So the last rhetorical appeal that I use as an EdTech coach is logos. So this involves of staying up to date with all of the latest EdTech platforms and new products, new tech tips that you feel that is best going to serve your school and your teachers and your students. So oftentimes I will follow many EdTech gurus, I like to call, on Twitter. And I also have an Instagram where I follow a lot of the teachers and EdTech gurus. I also try to follow the hashtags of EdTech or flipped classroom. And there's a whole bunch of hashtags that you can follow to help you stay connected and learn about the latest EdTech platforms. A lot of the other people that I follow are the EdTech companies that we pay for as a school. And that way I'm able to stay informed of all the latest updates that they deliver. What's really great too is I find that if I have a question for any EdTech company, I will oftentimes send them a message on Twitter. And I have found that many companies reply the quickest on Twitter. Of course, you can always check out their support system on their website as well. Another way that you will stay informed as an EdTech specialist or EdTech coach is by attending conferences, whether that be in person or online. There are tons of free conferences that you can find all the time just by searching EdTech conferences plus free on Google. And you'll be surprised and amazed at all of the possibilities that are out there to watch at your own time. I've also found that it's exciting to present at EdTech conferences as well, because you know that there's someone out there that doesn't know what you know. And so even if some people in your audience know everything that you're talking about, there's still going to be at least a couple people who may not know all of your wisdom and nuggets of information. Other conferences that you can consider going to, in addition to NCEA, are ISTE, or there are many technology conferences that might be in your state to consider as well. I stay up to date on the latest technology tips from the updates that I follow on Twitter. And then I also subscribe to a lot of other EdTech platforms and a lot of EdTech blogs as well. And many of those blogs, the authors of those will send weekly newsletters as well. Some of my favorite people to follow in EdTech are Alice Keeler, Casey Bell from Shake Up Learning, Matt Miller, and there's so many others out there. So as you start following the hashtags of EdTech, you'll quickly discover many of these other technology gurus. And it's always great to connect with all of these people. Especially when I was a teacher, I would oftentimes message people on Instagram and ask them questions. So it goes back to that phrase of your professional development is not always simply the classroom next door, that your professional development can be people from across the world. And that's the coolest thing that I find with technology and social media is the ability to connect with others across the world. I will also talk to many EdTech companies as well on Zoom, and we will have conversations as they will tell us about the new updates that they are going to be offering to us in the next upcoming year. Another way that I showcase what I can do for my school as an EdTech coach is creating sort of a coaching menu. So I've seen many different technology coaches create their own specialized menu where they go over what they can provide, whether that be a one-on-one training, a large group training, a quick 5-minute discussion, or even a co-teaching experience for the couple of days in their classroom. So I highly suggest that you create one of those to market all the things that you can provide for your staff. So how do you find your ed tech in your building? You might already be at a school where you have an established role of an ed tech. Others might not. So if you're in that position where you don't have an established position of an ed tech specialist or an ed tech coach, I would suggest looking for the people in your school who are the coined tech gurus. Maybe these are the people who are always having technology incorporated in all of their lessons. They're sharing the latest and greatest technology tool or tip for the teachers. Oftentimes, you might want to look at your computer teacher or your media specialist, as these are the types of people who might already be receiving these updates of technology and they already might have a passion for technology. But honestly, anybody can be an ed tech coach in your building. All it takes is the passion for technology, having a little bit of experience in a classroom and knowing how to best deliver these tools to the teachers to give the best results for their students. And also, an EdTech coach doesn't have to focus mainly on the teachers at your building. You can also serve those in your admin as you can help make their lives easier and more efficient and establishing that connection with all of the people at your school. And maybe this tech committee consists of many teachers who have a passion for technology, who use technology in their lessons on the daily, and that would be willing to meet once a week or monthly to collaborate and best deliver professional development for your school to keep all of your teachers and staff best informed with using technology. So thanks again for joining me. And if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out. My email is pmalone@brebeuf.org. You can also follow me on Twitter at technically_edu or on Instagram at technically it's edu.